much about Flint. I'd only really heard of it, so I kind of expected it to be like a major city like Toledo or Detroit.
I heard that Flint was dangerous and had a high crime rate.
I heard that Flint was always a really, really bad place, like you don't ever want to go there.
I heard it was the #1 murder capital in the U.S.
I heard it was a violent town and not a lot of people lived there.
It was the downtown that we went in, it was pretty, but it was just shocking to see how many houses were empty and how many people like were still trying to make a living there, like, and still trying to keep on going, even though like there didn't seem to be much hope.
It was different from what I thought because the city looked unreal, but the people were amazing.
What we saw in Flint was like brokenness and boarded up houses, and it was unreal.
Well, it was different to me because it was when we got to the city, it was really nice and there was nice buildings and it was really nice and I thought it was a beautiful place.
People said that there was a lot of abandoned homes, but I didn't realize that there would be house after house after house of abandoned homes.
that it was gonna be scary, and I was gonna be like super tired all the time, and I was gonna be like covered in dirt and other things, and it wasn't really that at all.
Brokenness, because of all the things I have heard.
Well, I kind of expected that we'll work at abandoned houses, like paint them, clean it up, and clean the backyards and all that.
I expected working in houses that people were like residing in currently, and we didn't. We like worked on houses that had been abandoned.
A lot of hard work.
My favorite part of Forge Flint was probably all of the relationships I formed with the workers and the people staying with us.
My favorite part of the trip was bonding with all the other churches that came with us.
I liked helping the people there. Like the man that when we were cleaning out the house, the man said that it was actually kind of nice because that house was empty for like 15 years, and it just like seemed to brighten up the place a little bit.
My favorite part was where we were working at abandoned houses because I felt really good about it because I felt proud that I fixed the house and all that.
My favorite part was at the last chapel service, everybody had the opportunity to share what God had showed them throughout the week.
My favorite part of the mission trip was seeing the progress that we made as such a small group and everything that we accomplished through it.
My favorite part of the trip was when we wrapped everything up on Friday and we went to Salem Lutheran Church and we weeded and we cleaned up. It was nice to do service for a church that was putting a lot of effort into their community, even though they had gone from having about 1,000 members in the late 60s and early 70s down to having about 50 regular members each Sunday at their church. Their pews were now filled with food. So it was great to serve them when they have put so much into serving their community by feeding them and offering what little they have to those around them.
My favorite person was Phil. He runs the Salem thing. Like he goes to houses and tries to sell them or try to rebuild them. He was a fun guy, and he was a funny guy too. And he said I reminded him of his niece because of the way I walked.
There were two little boys there, and they helped us, and their names were Quantavius and Keontae. And I just really liked the way that they helped us, even though they didn't have to.
Phil, because he was always optimistic and had hope when everything seemed hopeless.
My favorite person from the trip was a guy we worked with at Salem Housing named Denny. And he was my favorite person because we were there to help him restore his city. But every day when we came to the work site, he always asked how his church was treating us because that's where we were staying. And he was more helpful to us than we were to him.
My favorite person who I met on the trip was Phil, who was the director of Salem Housing.
I saw God at work in Flint through the hope that some of the people had for their city. They had hope for their city, like their city was all broken and stuff, but they still thought that they could restore it.
Just brightening up the area, like brightening up little small areas, like illuminating them, like helping little like pockets of the community and like helping them like reach out for hope.
When I was working in Flint, when I see God's work, I felt like I saw that we're restoring the city, making it seem like it's a safer place, that it looks really nicer, and fixing all those houses. That's how I see God's work.
I saw God work through Phil and Denny and Jerome and Jane, who were trying to make Flint a better place. I saw God at work through all the ministries working together to fix the broken city.
I saw God at work in Flint by seeing all the organizations that were still set up to help people and seeing all the people that still had so much hope to get the city of Flint looking like it used to.
How did I see God's work in my life? That I felt accomplished, that I felt like I was restoring a city, that make it look better, make it look like it's safer for people to live in. That's how I saw God's work in my life.
He helped me realize that my problems weren't really problems based with other people. Like, I may be angry about not getting something, but there are children out there whose friends or family members have been like killed in gang related activities. So, my problems aren't really that big compared to theirs.
God worked in my life by showing me that, like Flint, I can be broken and damaged and still have people love me and have hope in me.
When I saw the living conditions of the people who lived there, it made me feel really selfish. God worked in my life at Flint by showing me that being selfish gets you nowhere. God showed me that everything is possible when you put your trust and faith in Him.
How generous everyone was. Like, the church that we were staying at let us Forge Flint stay there for free, which was going to be a lot because there were over 50 kids there. And one of the churches that we were cleaning out, we got to eat lunch there, and the lady didn't even have to open it up for us. It's just everyone helps out in ways that they can.
I felt humble because we were working at abandoned houses and it made me feel really good, and I got to meet a lot of new people and I had such a great time there, and I didn't want to leave when I left because it was such a great place and I felt proud of what I did.
The most humbling part of the trip for me was losing in a foot race to Dylan. We talked smack all week long and I was convinced that I could beat him, but he runs pretty fast for a big guy.
What humbled me the most during this week was to see how willing everyone was to work.
What humbled me most at Forge Flint was it seemed like over the week we had done so much work, but there are people that had been doing this for 30 years and it still looked like a broken city. And we had done this for such a short time. It was like we had done so much when in reality it was just one grain of sand on the entire beach.
On the first day when we were working with Salem Housing, Phil and Jane told us that they had been working with Salem Housings for 20 years, and it was just astonishing to me because I was tired after 1 week, and just thinking of doing it for 20 years was just awesome.